I woke up one morning and my face was gone. Not missing, just wrong. Like someone had taken my beauty and replaced it with a stranger's shame. But let me tell you how I got here. Because 3 months ago, I was the girl everyone wanted to be. My name is Cynthia, and I was beautiful. Not the kind of pretty you compliment and move on.
No.
I was the kind of beautiful that made people stop talking when I entered a room. The kind that made girls whisper and boys stare. I knew it. I used it. I loved it. I lived in Lagos, in a nice part of Lekki. My father owned businesses. My mother threw parties. I had everything: clothes, phones, friends who followed me like shadows. But I also had a mouth. And that mouth destroyed me. It started on a Tuesday. I was coming back from the salon with my best friend, Zara. My hair was freshly done, long, silky weave that cost more than most people's rent. Zara was talking about some boy, but I wasn't listening. I was looking at my reflection in every car window we passed. Cynthia, are you even hearing me? Zara laughed. Sorry, babe. I was just thinking how good I look today, I said, flipping my hair. She rolled her eyes but smiled. She was used to me. We turned the corner near my street, and that's when I saw her. Mama Michael. She was an old woman who sold oranges at the junction. Always sitting on a low stool, her wrapper faded and torn, her hands shaking as she peeled fruit for customers. She was small, wrinkled, and poor, and I hated seeing her there. Not because she did anything to me, but because she reminded me that ugly, poor people existed. And I didn't like being reminded. Ugh, she's still here, I muttered to Zara. Mama Michael looked up as we passed. Her eyes were kind. She smiled. Good afternoon, my daughters, she said softly. Zara greeted her back. I didn't. Instead, I wrinkled my nose. Zara, let's cross the road. I can't stand the smell. I said it loud enough for Mama Michael to hear. Her smile faded. Zara looked uncomfortable. Cynthia, that's rude. I don't care, I said, laughing. Old women like that should stay at home, not sitting on the road looking like leftovers. I didn't see the way Mama Michael's face changed. I didn't see her hands stop moving. I didn't see her eyes close, or hear her lips whisper something under her breath. I just kept walking. That night, I went to a party. It was at my boyfriend Kevin's house. Kevin was tall, handsome, and rich, exactly my type. He threw parties every weekend, and I was always the star. Girls envied me.
Boys wanted me.
I danced in the center of the room like a queen. Cynthia, you're glowing tonight, Kevin whispered in my ear. I know, I said, kissing his cheek. But around midnight, something strange happened. I went to the bathroom to fix my makeup, and when I looked in the mirror, I felt cold. My face looked the same, but something in my eyes looked different.
Darker.
Like a shadow had moved behind them. I blinked. It was gone. You're just tired, I told myself. I went back to the party and forgot about it. The next morning I woke up itching. My face felt tight, like the skin was shrinking. I ran to the mirror, and I screamed. My skin, my perfect, smooth skin, was covered in rough, red patches. My lips were swollen. My eyes were puffy. Mom, I shouted, running downstairs. Mom, something's wrong with my face. My mother gasped when she saw me. Cynthia, what happened? Did you eat something bad? I don't know. I cried. Fix it. Take me to the hospital. We went to 3 hospitals that day. The doctors ran tests. They gave me creams, pills, injections. Nothing worked. By evening, my face looked worse. The patches spread to my neck. My hair started falling out in clumps. My beauty, my entire identity, was disappearing.
And I didn't know why.
Days passed. Then weeks. I stopped going out. I couldn't. People stared. Some laughed. Others whispered. Kevin stopped calling. My friends stopped visiting. Even Zara came less and less. I'm sorry, Cynthia, she said one day, looking guilty. But people are talking. They're saying you're cursed. Cursed? I laughed bitterly. That's ridiculous. But deep down, I wondered. My mother took me to churches. Pastors prayed. They anointed me with oil, fasted, shouted at demons. Nothing changed. One pastor looked me in the eye and said, "My daughter, this is not a sickness. This is a consequence. You have offended someone powerful." I thought about everyone I'd ever insulted. There were many, but I didn't think any of them could do this. One night, I couldn't sleep. My face hurt. My heart hurt more. I sat by my window, looking at the street below, and I saw her, Mama Michael. She was walking slowly, carrying her basket of oranges on her head. The streetlights made her look even older, even smaller. And I remembered what I'd said to her. Old women like that should stay at home, looking like leftovers. I felt something twist in my stomach. Guilt?
No.
I pushed it down. She's just an old woman, I whispered. She can't do anything to me. But the next morning, my mother came into my room with tears in her eyes. Cynthia, she said quietly, we need to talk. She sat on my bed and took my hand. Your father spoke to someone, a man who deals with spiritual things. He says you were cursed by an elder, and the only way to break it is to humble yourself before her. I pulled my hand away. Humble myself? Before who? The woman you insulted. I laughed. It sounded ugly. You want me to apologize to that orange seller? Never. Cynthia? I said never. I shouted. I'd rather stay like this than beg some dirty old woman. My mother looked at me with such sadness. Then she left the room, and I was alone. But pride is expensive. 2 months passed, and I became something I never thought I'd be. Invisible. No one looked at me anymore. No one wanted me. I was the girl people avoided, the girl they pitied. I started having dreams. In them, Mama Michael stood in front of me, her eyes glowing. She never spoke. She just looked at me with that sad, disappointed face. And I would wake up sweating, my heart pounding. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I put on a hoodie, covered my face, and walked to the junction where Mama Michael sat. It was late. The street was empty, but she was still there, peeling oranges under a dim streetlight. I stood a few feet away, watching her. She didn't look up. Mama, I whispered. Her hands stopped moving. Slowly, she raised her head. Her eyes met mine, and I saw it, power. Not anger, not hatred, just power. You have come, she said softly. I wanted to speak, but my throat closed. Tears filled my eyes. I'm sorry, I choked out. I'm sorry for what I said. I was wrong. I was cruel. Please, please forgive me. I fell to my knees right there on the street. Mama Michael watched me for a long moment. Then she sighed. Sorry is a word, child, but change is an action. I'll change, I begged. I'll do anything. She stood up slowly, her joints creaking. She walked toward me and placed a wrinkled hand on my head. Then prove it, she said. Serve the people you once mocked. Help the ones you once ignored. When your heart becomes beautiful, your face will follow. And just like that, she walked away. I went home that night feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. But I also felt fear. Because I didn't know how to be humble. I didn't know how to serve. I had spent my whole life being served. The next morning, I stood in front of my mirror. My face was still ruined. My hair was still thin and patchy, but something inside me had shifted. I whispered to my reflection, "I will change." And for the first time in my life, I meant it. But changing wasn't easy. The first person I tried to help was a woman carrying heavy bags at the market. I offered to help her. She looked at me like I was crazy. "You? Help me?" I nodded. She hesitated, then handed me a bag. It was heavier than I expected. My arms hurt, but I carried it all the way to her car. "Thank you," she said, surprised. I smiled. It felt strange. I started small, helping people cross the road, giving money to beggars, volunteering at a children's home on weekends. At first, people didn't trust me. They remembered who I used to be, but I kept going. And slowly, very slowly, I began to feel different, lighter, freer. Then one day, something happened that changed everything. I was at the market buying vegetables when I saw him, Judas. He was a man everyone avoided. Scarred face, missing teeth, limping walk. He collected trash for money. People said he was dirty, dangerous. I used to cross the street when I saw him. But today he was sitting on the ground, holding his leg and wincing in pain. No one stopped. I almost didn't either. But then I remembered Mama Michael's words, "Serve the people you once mocked." I walked over. "Are you okay?" He looked up, shocked. "Me?"
Yes.
"Are you hurt?" He nodded slowly. I fell. My leg. I knelt beside him, ignoring the stares. "Let me help you." I helped him stand. I took him to a nearby clinic. I paid for his treatment. He cried. "No one has ever been kind to me," he whispered. I felt my own tears start. "I'm sorry. I should have been kind before." When I left the clinic, I felt something warm in my chest. And when I looked in a car window, one of the patches on my face was gone. I ran home and locked myself in the bathroom. My hands shook as I turned on the light and stared into the mirror. One patch gone. Just one. But it was real. My skin in that spot was smooth again, glowing like it used to. I touched it, afraid it would disappear. It didn't. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Not sad tears. Something else. Something I hadn't felt in so long. Relief. And maybe hope. Mama Michael was right. Kindness was the cure. But I also realized something terrifying. If one act of kindness healed one patch, how many acts would it take to heal completely? I looked at my reflection, still broken, still ugly by the standards I used to worship. "I have a long way to go," I whispered. And I was right. The next day, I went back to the junction. Mama Michael was there, peeling oranges as always. I stood in front of her, waiting. She looked up. Her face softened when she saw me.
"You are learning," she said.
I nodded. "One patch is gone. But I have so many left." She smiled gently. "Then you have much work to do, child. Will you teach me?" I asked.
She studied me for a moment.
Then she nodded. "Sit." I sat beside her on the ground. People walking by stared at me. The girl who used to wear designer clothes, now sitting in the dirt with the orange seller. I didn't care anymore. Mama Michael handed me an orange.
"Peel it," she said. I did.
"Now give it to someone who needs it more than you." I looked around. A young boy was watching us from across the road, his clothes torn, his stomach probably empty. I walked over and handed him the orange. His face lit up like I'd given him gold. "Thank you, sister," he said, running off. I went back to Mama Michael. She was watching me with approval. "Every act of love peels away the curse," she said. "But remember, it must come from your heart, not from fear, not from pride, from love." I swallowed hard. What if my heart doesn't know how to love like that? She touched my hand. Then you must teach it. Weeks turned into months. I stopped going to parties. I stopped chasing beauty. I stopped caring what people thought. Instead, I woke up early and helped Mama Michael sell oranges. I carried water for the elderly. I read stories to children at the orphanage. I visited the sick in hospitals. At first, it was hard. My old self kept whispering, "You're too good for this. You're embarrassing yourself." But then I started seeing people differently. The old man who struggled to walk, he had fought in wars I'd never know. The woman begging for money, she had children at home who depended on her. The scarred man collecting trash, he had a name, Judas, and he had a story. I started asking people their stories. And when I listened, really listened, I felt my heart crack open. The patches on my face disappeared one by one. But I stopped checking the mirror every day because something strange was happening. I stopped caring about my face. I cared more about the smile on a child's face when I brought them food. I cared more about the relief in an old woman's eyes when I helped her carry her load. For the first time in my life, I felt beautiful, not because of how I looked, but because of how I made others feel. Then one day, my mother called me into the living room. She looked nervous. "Cynthia, sit down." I sat. She took a deep breath. "Your father and we've been talking, and we've made a decision." My stomach dropped. "What decision?" "You're going to be married." I stared at her. "What?" "It's already arranged. The man is from a good family. He's willing to marry you despite everything." "Despite my face, you mean?" I said bitterly. She looked away. "We're doing this for your future, Cynthia. You can't live like this forever." "Who is he?" I asked. She hesitated. "His name is Judas." The room spun. Judas? The trash collector? The wedding day came. I wore a simple dress. No makeup. No fancy hair. I looked in the mirror one last time. Most of the patches were gone now. My face was almost healed. But my eyes looked different, sad, but also older, wiser. I didn't feel like the same girl anymore. At the small ceremony, Judas stood waiting. He wore a clean shirt and trousers. His scars were still there. His limp was still there. But when he saw me, he smiled. And it was the kindest smile I'd ever seen. The ceremony was short, quiet. Only a few people attended. When it was over, Judas took my hand. His hand was rough, scarred from years of hard work. "I know you didn't choose this," he said softly, "but I promise I will be good to you." I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something I'd missed before.
Strength. Dignity.
"Goodness. Why did you agree to marry me?" I asked. He smiled sadly. "Because you saw me when no one else did. You helped me when no one else would. That's the kind of person I want beside me." I felt my throat tighten. This man, this scarred, limping, poor man, saw more beauty in me than Kevin ever did. More than my friends. More than my own parents. "I'll try," I whispered. "I'll try to be a good wife." He squeezed my hand. "That's all I ask." Living with Judas was strange at first. We lived in a small house on the edge of the city.
It wasn't fancy,
but it was clean.
Warm.
Judas worked every day collecting trash and selling scrap metal. I helped Mama Michael in the mornings and cooked in the evenings. It was simple, quiet, and for the first time in my life, I was happy. Judas never raised his voice. He never demanded anything. He treated me with respect, even though I came to him broken. One night I asked him, "Do you regret marrying me?" He looked surprised. "Why would I?" "Because I was awful. I was vain and cruel and selfish." He thought for a moment. Then he said, "You were, but you're not anymore." How do you know? Because I see you now. I see how you help people. I see how you've changed. I felt tears sting my eyes. I don't deserve you. He smiled. Maybe, but I don't deserve you either. So we're even. I laughed through my tears. And in that moment I realized something. I loved him, not because he was handsome or rich, but because he was good.
Kind. Real.
Then, one morning, everything changed. I woke up and felt different. I walked to the mirror, not expecting anything. And I gasped, my face, my entire face was healed. Not just healed. It was glowing, radiant, more beautiful than it had ever been before. But this time, the beauty didn't come from creams or makeup or pride. It came from something deeper. I ran outside. Judas was sitting on the porch, drinking tea. Judas! I shouted. He turned and dropped his cup. His mouth opened.
Closed.
Opened again. Cynthia, your face. I touched my cheeks, laughing and crying at the same time. It's gone. The curse is gone. He stood up slowly and walked toward me. He cupped my face in his rough hands. You were always beautiful to me, he said softly. But now the world will see it too. I kissed him, and I meant it. Word spread quickly. People who had mocked me, avoided me, pitied me, they all came back. Kevin showed up at my door one day, flowers in hand. Cynthia, I made a mistake. I should never have left you. Let's start again. I looked at him, the boy I once thought I loved. Now he just looked empty. No, I said simply. His face twisted. You're married to a trash collector, and you're saying no to me? I'm married to a good man, I corrected. And I love him. I closed the door. Zara came too. She cried and apologized. I forgave her. But I didn't forget. My parents wanted me to come home, to restore the family image. I declined. I'm happy where I am, I told them. My mother looked around the small house with disgust. Here? With him? Yes, I said firmly.
Here.
With him. She left shaking her head. I didn't care. Months later, something incredible happened. Judas and I were walking through the market when a man in a suit approached us. Excuse me, are you Judas? Judas nodded cautiously. The man smiled. My name is Mr. Chukwu. I've been watching you for months. Your recycling work is impressive. I own a waste management company, and I'd like to offer you a partnership. Judas stared. A partnership?
Yes.
You know the streets. You know the people. Together, we could build something great. I grabbed Judas's hand, my heart pounding. I accept, Judas said, his voice shaking. Within a year, the business grew. Judas became successful, not rich, but comfortable. But he stayed humble. He still greeted the street cleaners by name. He still helped the elderly. And I stayed by his side. One day, I went to see Mama Michael. She was older now, slower, but her eyes still sparkled. You did it, child, she said. I knelt beside her. I couldn't have done it without you. She touched my cheek. The curse was never in your face, Cynthia. It was in your heart, and you healed it yourself. Will you bless me? I asked. She placed her hand on my head and prayed. When she finished, I felt lighter than air. 5 years later, I stood in front of a mirror again. But this time, I wasn't alone. My daughter, 3 years old, with bright eyes and a loud laugh, tugged on my dress. Mama, why are you staring? I smiled and picked her up, just remembering. Remembering what? How I almost lost everything because I forgot what mattered. She tilted her head,
confused.
You'll understand one day, I whispered, kissing her forehead. Judas walked in, smiling. Ready? I nodded. We were going to the orphanage. We went every week now, bringing food, clothes, stories. As we walked out into the sun, I thought about the girl I used to be. Beautiful.
Proud.
Cruel. And I thought about the woman I'd become. Scarred by life. Humbled by pain. Healed by love. I wasn't perfect, but I was real. And that was enough.